Hello everybody, welcome back. This is EonShiKeno. Today I'm going to cover a TvZ tutorial that's based around hitting a 7-minute timing push with 3 tanks with siege, about 7 marines, and 4 Hellions. Okay, let's have a look at the build order here. Now, it starts off pretty simple. You go 10 supply, 12 Barrax, 13 gas, 15 marine, and then your orbital. But from here, this is where things change. In most build orders, they don't show the SCVs, the individual SCV production, but in this build order, it really focuses on getting your tanks out very quickly. So you have to cut SCVs at very critical points to make sure you have enough supplies so your tanks never stop production and your Hellions never stop production. That way you can hit that really fast 7-minute timing window. And I'll just show you key points in the build order where cutting SCVs is extremely important. So as we can see right here, the orbital has just finished. We're already starting our second refinery, and we have our second marine coming out. Now at this point, you want to stop SCV production. This is one of the parts where you want to stop making SCVs so that way you can get your factory out very quick. So if you notice our money up here, it's getting really close to 100 gas, and you're going to need 100 gas and 150 minerals to make your factory. So if we watch this play through right here, we'll see that right at about the time you get 100 minerals, you get about 150, boom, right there, almost the exact same time down to the second, and there you start your factory. And at this point, you can start making an SCV again. So that's just one critical point where you just need to delay your SCV just a little bit, that way your factory gets out extremely faster. I prefer to get the factory out faster, that way I can get my Hellions out quicker. So that's just personal preference. Of course, you can do the constant SCV production, but I really like to hit these super fast timings. Now, of course, next time you get your second 100 gas, you'll come up here, start your second factory, so you have 2 factories in production. So as you can see right here, our first factory is just about ready to finish. We've got 1 marine in production, 1 SCV in production, and that'll put us at 23 out of 27 supply. This is another point where you want to stop SCV and marine production for the time being. That way you can get your first 2 Hellions out very quick and start scouting and harassing with them. So, of course, whenever your first factory finishes, you're going to want to start 1 Hellion, and they'll instantly come down here and start another supply depot once you get 100 supply. Now, you can see right now we're at 25 out of 27 supply. You can start another marine, and you can start another SCV, but do not do that. We're going to need this 2 more supply to get out this second Hellion, because Hellions do cost 2 supply. So as you can see here, just going to stop marine production for the time being, stop SCVs. We're not going to make another SCV. And we're going to start another Hellion here pretty soon, and that'll bring us right at 27 out of 27 supply. So there it is, coming out 27 out of 27, and then whenever this supply depot finishes, you can start your SCV and marine production again. So we can see that after your second factory finishes, you want to start a tech lab on it, and you'll want to make a tank out of this one. Because as soon as you get your first 2 Hellions out, you want to focus all of your factory production on tanks. So as soon as the second factory finishes, you start a tech lab on it, then you instantly make a tank on it, and then as soon as you make your 2 Hellions, start a tech lab on this one, and start making a tank on here. And after you start your 3rd tank production, that's when you want to start researching siege tech. You won't need siege tech before you leave your base. If you do this right, it'll finish at about the time you're either halfway across the map or near your opponent's base. And if they decide to go for something like a 7 roach rush, you're already going to have tanks, you're going to have a wall off, and you're easily going to fin that off. So as you can see right here, got my 3rd tank just now being produced, and really close to being supply blocked. So I'm instantly going to start right here, starting siege tech. So by the time this tank finishes and you move across the map, your siege tech is going to be done right when you're outside his base, ready to siege up. So as soon as your first 2 Hellions come out, you want to use these guys to A, scout with, and B, clear the map of any Zerglings and just control the Zelnaga towers. That way, whenever you hit your 7-minute timing attack, 1 minute from now, you'll have the map cleared. More than likely, you shouldn't be able to scout you unless he's just, doing a lot of micro, and you'll just be able to surprise him a lot sooner, and he'll be slower to react and make a lot of Zerglings to try and counter this build. So whenever your Hellions come out, like I said, just come out here, clear the Zelnaga tower of any Zerglings. That way they have no vision of your coming, and you just want to find their base by now. You've already scouted them with your SCV from earlier. You want to scout. Usually you can scout after a Barrax. That's what I like to prefer scouting with. So you're just going to come up in their base right here. And in this particular game, I see 1 spine crawler, and I'm just going to come in and poke with the Hellions. Since they have 1 spine crawler, you really don't want to lose these Hellions. You need to keep these Hellions. So that way, once your push comes, you'll have 4 Hellions to deal with the Zerglings that are going to be coming out to try and kill your tanks. So from right here, I just see one spine crawler. I scout my opponent's base, make sure he has an expansion. I'm like, okay, I don't want to go in there and deal with any of that. I'm just going to fall back, go back to base, or at least control the Zelnaga Tower, and then repair up my Hellions. Now, if he doesn't have a spine crawler, you can always just go in there and poke around, because it'll take a long time for queens to kill your Hellions. So you can just come in there and poke around a little bit, but don't lose him. Just get maybe 1 or 2 drone kills. Keep him on his feet. Maybe that'll cause him to make more spine crawlers. And later on, as you'll see, spine crawlers will really not have that much of an effect on the tank push, because tanks will just destroy spine crawlers from out of range, and they'll be kind of useless. Alright, now that your 7 minutes has passed and you're pushing out from your base, you got a handful of Marines, 7 here, got 3 tanks, and I like to bring along 2 or 3 SCVs just to repair the tanks, repair the Hellions, to make them last a little bit longer. But right now, as you can see, he does not know that I'm coming to attack him. He's going to find out a little too late that I'm going to be right outside his base with 3 tanks and a bunch of Marines and some SCVs. So that is the benefit of clearing out the Zelnaga Tower or any Zerglings that just happen to be in between your base and his base. So let me walk through here the way you'll want to do this tank push. Now keep in mind, going slow and patient is definitely the way you want to play this tank push. And if there's a situation where you can hug your tanks up against this wall here, I didn't do this perfectly right here, but if you can, try to hug your tanks along any type of wall or any type of tree or any type of debris or anything like that. That way it reduces the surface area that Zerglings have, and it'll just overall reduce the damage that a whole mass of Zerglings can do to your tanks. So he obviously is not happy that he's getting tank pushed right here. He's got 1 spine crawler up, 1 here in the back. And I'm just basically going to leave this guy here in the back just to cover these front 2 tanks. Now you can always, what I prefer to do is have 1 tank siege, keep this guy just out of range of the expansion. I like to siege the next 2 just a little bit in range of this first spine crawler or expansion, whatever happens to be closest. And then I like to walk this first tank a little bit closer. That way it can start doing a little bit more damage. The whole time, remember, just keep your Marines and Hellions back next to your tanks. These are the things that need to be protected. These tanks will do more than enough damage that they'll be able to kill this expansion very fast. Just remember, play this slow and steady. So as you can see here, I'm pushing up with my tank, getting in a better siege position against the edge here, so that way they can't get a very good surround. I've already got 2 SCVs ready to repair this first tank. It's more than likely this will be the target. He'll also get a lot of friendly fire from my tank, so I'll just have these guys ready to repair. And now in this position, I got a nice little wall here at the front with some Marines and Hellions to prevent any Zerglings from attacking me. And I've got 2 tanks here in the back in range of the expansion. This guy up here in the front, just doing tons of damage. So the goal with this first push is to kill the expansion. If you kill the expansion, you could just sit outside their base and keep it contained, or you could just, go back to your base, set up for your secondary attack. So as you can see here, this first tank is just wailing away on the spine crawlers, wailing away on the expansions, and you're just going to take this expansion down pretty easily. And if you do this right, you'll have Zerg players raging all day long. So as we can see here, the expansion is going to fall. There the expansion goes. And the other benefit to doing this is, since the Zerg produce their units out of their hatcheries, any units that spawn from the layer outside of their expansion will more than likely just instantly die as soon as they pop out. As you can see here, Zerglings coming out, 2 instantly die right there. Now this is the position where you want to decide, okay, has he decided to attack me? What do I want to do? Do I want to push it for a contain him to 1 base, or do I want to fall back, let him try to rebuild his expansion, at the same time putting mine up? Now what I like to do is, right when I push out at the 7-minute mark, you should, and after you make your 2 more Hellions for reinforcements, you'll have enough money to make an expansion. At this point, you can make another command center, fly that out, so at the time of you doing your push, you're also expanding, taking your expansion. So you gain an expansion, he loses an expansion, you're already at a huge advantage. Now last game you saw a Zerg player decided to pull all his drones and just sacrifice the expansion, stay to 1 base, and just try to make a recovery from there, which he did not. He ended up losing that game. But this game we're going to see the other side of the coin. We're going to see a Zerg player who decides to pull all of his units and all of his drones, all his queens, all his speedlings to try and fight this off, so we can just watch how this plays out. So like I said, try and pull the Marines in the back. You don't want those guys to tank extra damage. And he's pulling all his drones, all his queens, pulling some Zerglings out. And you can just use the tanks to deal a lot of damage. and ended up taking out the queen. And from there, GG. So let's look at the harvester count, 24 versus 17. So already he was very far behind from this one play. And at the same time, back in my base, I've got my expansion going. I'm even starting another barracks, just doing in general pretty well as far as my side. So that's pretty much how you want to play the tank push. Do it slow and steady. Try and tank push into areas that are really compact, because the more open that your army is, the easier the Zerglings can get better surrounds on you and just deal more damage. So try and keep everything nice and compact, and try and stagger your tanks just a little bit. That way they're not all directly on top of each other. And like I said, bring along some SCVs. This was one of the first games I actually tried this on ladder. And I actually wasn't bringing along SCVs. I would actually, like I said earlier, recommend bringing 2 or 3 SCVs along to repair your tanks, so that way the friendly fire damage is a little bit negated by the repair from those SCVs. So good luck for you Terran players in the future, and good luck for the Zerg players holding this off, because this is a serious tank push. I've actually won about 3 or 4 games on the ladder with it against Zerg players. I haven't lost one yet. I even had Time Lord try this build out, who only plays Protoss, doesn't play Terran at all. Taught him the build order. He did it 3 times on ladder, beat every single Zerg, and these are like top 25 masters Zerg, so you know, nothing to be frowned about. So it is a very strong build order. If you take the time, practice it. I recommend, you know, getting in a custom game, practicing the build about 10 times, because it takes a while to really realize whenever you need to cut SCVs, so you get your tanks out very fast and just understand the timings. But as soon as you get outside their base, tank pushing just basically does the work for you. Make sure, copy this build order down. I'm going to have a nice graphic up for you right now of all the build order, nice and pretty. Thanks to Time Lord for making that. And I'm also going to leave it in the description if you just want to copy paste it for easy sake. You know, copy paste it, put it into a text file. That's going to work also. Everybody go out there, subscribe to my channel right now, youtube.com/EonShiKeno. I'm going to keep producing these high quality tutorials for you out there, just to help you know, the newbies out there just get a little bit better. Thanks, and see everybody later.